Well, from the look of things, it looks like we have morning, noon, and night here among the three of us. But welcome to the weekly scene video. My name is Jim Watts. I'm here with Grace Wood and Jimmie Tramel, my colleagues with the Tulsa scene section. And we're here to update you on the things that have occupied our time, to quote an REM song. Jimmie, what have you got coming up for this Friday?
And Friday, I've got a story about an Oklahoma Music Hall of Famer, Kelly Lang, who was raised in Oklahoma City. Her dad was a longtime manager for Conway Twitty. Started off when he lived there in Oklahoma City. But she's written an autobiography about being a 17-year cancer survivor, and she has friends in high places. She's married to T.G. Shepherd, the country music star, but Olivia Newton-John has written the foreword for her book, which is easier to say. Because I can't draw anyone better than Olivia Newton-John to write your foreword, and she said they're really great friends. And she's friends with Barry Gibb from the Bee Gees, so lots of big time friends she has. But that's what I've got ready.
All right. What's spinning in the world of homes, Grace?
Yeah, so for this Saturday, I wrote a story about a woman named Tara Frizzell, and she owns her own business called Tables by Tara. And Tara is a completely self-taught woodworker who just kind of picked up woodworking as a random hobby in December 2017. She had like a full-time job. She was just doing woodworking for fun in her garage at home, and people started to notice her talent, and she got, increasingly better at it. So she started her own business and was able to eventually quit her full-time job and start selling tables, cabinets, bookshelves, like pretty much you name it, she makes it out of her home. And she works completely by herself, and she also sells exclusively on Facebook Marketplace in lieu of like a traditional website or like an Etsy page or something like that. So she's really kind of made her mark on the industry here in Tulsa and is becoming like increasingly more well-known, and just, has had a lot of success. So it's a really awesome story if you want to read it this Saturday.
Okay. I guess she furnished her own home?
Yeah, a lot of her home has like her own pieces in it.
Okay, all right. Well, it's keeping with what Jimmie said, it's going to be a fairly literary Sunday. We have an interview with James Morris, who has written the first biography of Tony Hillerman, who is a native Oklahoman, but made his fame by writing murder mysteries set in the Navajo reservation and featuring two members of the Navajo tribal police as his main characters. They did a couple of TV movies that were done on PBS with Wes Studi playing the character of Joe Leaphorn, who was the main character from many of the books. And so we're talking with him about that. And then also the Tulsa Library Trust has announced they announced it last year, but they just didn't do anything about it because of the pandemic. But Marilyn Robinson, author of Housekeeping, Gilead, Jack, Lila, and a number of books of essays, has been selected for the Helmerich Distinguished Author Award. And we talked with her about her career, and that'll be coming up this Sunday. Have you got anything else for Sunday, Jimmie?
Yeah, I've got a genre of music you may have never heard of before. Grace or James, you ever heard about the genre intergalactic country music? Is that a new one for you?
I've heard of it.
This has escaped my notice.
Okay. It shocks me none that Grace is at the front of the curve here on this with intergalactic country music. But anyhow, Jason Boland from Jason Boland and the Stragglers is a staple in Tulsa. He always does the Leftover Turkey show at King's Ballroom, and has a new album coming out in December in this genre we just talked about. It's a concept album about someone who gets abducted by a UFO back in 19th century. If I got my centuries right, yeah, okay, late 1800s, and then comes back, returns in the future. His wife's gone, so on and so forth. But it's really interesting that someone today is doing a concept album, which you don't hear of at all, no matter what the genre is.
Yeah, I was thinking the only country concept album that I can think of off the top of my head is Red-Headed Stranger by Willie Nelson, and that was back in the 70s. So
I'm glad you mentioned that, because he lists that as one of the influences.
okay,
Album.
all right. Well, if you're feeling hungry and adventurous, our food review this week is a place called Casero Grill at 61st and Mingo. Specializes in Venezuelan street food, and it's unusual in a way, but it's not like things are terribly out of place. But they just do some not odd, but very different preparations. It's not terribly spicy, but it's a family that came here from Venezuela about 10 years ago. And it was always the husband's dream to bring the food of his native land to Tulsa, and they finally have got this started up. So we'll check that out. And also we have a list if you're looking for ways to pad out your Thanksgiving dinner, or just have somebody else do it for you. We have a list of restaurants and grocery stores and other food vendors that will happily make the meal for you. So look for that in the Tulsa World, either at local news sellers or online at tulsaworld.com. Just curious, is there probably we should save this for a week, but is there a Thanksgiving dish that for you must be on the table come the fourth Thursday in November?
I'm a big sweet potatoes with marshmallows person. It's
Okay.
probably one of my favorite things. I also love stuffing, so.
That would be great to have Grace then for Thanksgiving, because I wouldn't touch the sweet potatoes. She can have first, seconds, and thirds. Great. I love. You know what's underrated to me?
What's underrated to you?
I mean, if you go underrated or overrated, a hot roll with butter, I think, is really underrated.
It's good.
There's nothing better than really good bread and really good butter, and I agree with you 100%. But I must confess, I'm a fan of the stuffing, and especially if I've made it. So, but then everybody says that their stuffing is always the best. So. Although one time as a youngster, I thought there was a huge thing of stuffing, and I got a big serving of it and took a bite, and it was my great grandmother, and she had put canned oysters in it.
Oh.
And that kind of was a surprise, I'll put it that way.
Oh,
so
that's just wrong.
Now, apparently in the Northeast, that's the way to do it. But, give a 12-year-old some warning the next time you do that. So, but anyway, all right. Well, that's pretty much what we've got for you this week. Thank you for spending a bit of time with us, and we will gladly see you later.
Behave.
Bye.
For more information, you can visit tulsaworld.com.